Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. My name is Maurice Jr. For those who are new to the channel, um, pretty much the channel is here to help people find their confidence and motivation to stay connected to their dreams and goals. And today we have a very special guest. We have a very special guest, my high school teacher, Ms. Johnquest, who has poured so much into my life, especially between the years of 1998 and 2002. Oh man, I could give countless examples of Miss Johnquest just being there for me. Because when I entered high school, um, I was very shy, laid back. At that point, I wasn't 6'4" yet. I was more around about 5'4", maybe 5'3", somewhere around there. I was a very little, scrawny guy, about 60 pounds. But what happened was she noticed something in me, and not only did she notice something in me, she actually cultivated that seed. Well, firstly, before she even cultivated it, she actually inspired me. Said, "Hey, Maurice, I want you to do. We're doing a talent show. If anybody know anything about ran talent shows or style shows, anything of that nature, uh, we between Miss John Quest and Miss Annie, they played a big part of that. And I had small roles, no matter if I was doing a spotlight, no matter if I was doing the sound. And from there, it kind of just went, it kind of just spiraled from there upward. When I tell you it ascended from there, I think I started doing drama. I was part of the yearbook staff. Never was a part of the journalism team because my junior and senior year, I actually attended Chauffeur Career Center. But I remember something, Miss John Quest, you know what just came to mind? I remember when 9/11 happened and we was in your classroom. And I remember everyone just sitting there and we didn't really know what was going on, to be honest. But I remember you turn on the television and that's when they had the big old, what is it, about 20,
The
20,
big
20
TVs,
yeah, the big
the
TVs.
old-fashioned ones.
Absolutely. I remember they had the big TVs, and I remember the emotion that you had and explaining to everyone, even in the classroom, what was going on. And then from that point on, I knew Ms. Johnquest was a person who actually not only cared for us, but her actions reflected every single thing when it comes to the impact of, just being there for us and cultivating different things. But that's enough for me, Ms. John, because I know I am talking way too much. Could you give the viewers a little bit about yourself, give your name and just a little bit about yourself at this time?
Okay, well, my official name is Elizabeth Johnquest, but my friends and my family call me Betsy.
Hmm.
And I have lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and Orlando, Florida,
Hmm.
and Youngstown, Ohio, and I've been
Yes.
here since 1986. So
Really?
I went to Bowling Green to college.
Okay.
And after college, I left Bowling Green and went straight to, actually, I went to home to Dayton, Ohio, which is where I went to high school. And
Okay.
I got a summer job at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base because that's where
Yeah.
my father worked.
Okay.
And my father worked, do I have a, my father died right before I graduated from college.
Mm.
And that was really sad because that was his main thing, was for me to graduate from college because he never
Mm.
did.
Mm.
So when he died, I went to Wright-Patterson for a while, but then I left and I went to Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm.
And then, I don't know who that was. So when I left Florida, I came back to Youngstown, and my mother was here, and I had two little boys, and I started teaching in the Youngstown City schools. And um, at the first, I wasn't too sure if teaching was the right thing for me, but I prayed. I
Mm.
prayed to God that I was doing the right thing. And
Hmm.
I said, please let me know if I'm doing your will.
Nice.
And as the years went by, I knew I was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing.
Nice.
And I put everything I had into it.
Hmm.
And I met so many wonderful kids over the years who are now adults, and it's just wonderful to be able to have a relationship with my former students. So now I'm retired. I'm living on the west side of Youngstown.
Okay.
Um, I'm enjoying life. Retirement is great. I hope
Absolutely.
everyone has a chance at retirement.
Absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. Let me ask you this. All the areas that you touched on as you recall different events in the past there, it's kind of like what I did. That's ironic. Born and raised in Youngstown. Uh, I was teaching in Chicago. However, we moved to Georgia here in the last 16 months. No, it's been about 18 months now. We've been in Georgia.
Where are
Uh,
you at in Georgia?
we in the south suburbs of Georgia in a small city called Hampton.
Okay.
In Clayton County. But long story short, I attended in that Dayton area. I attended Central State University. That's where I went to school at.
Okay.
And then Wright Pat Air Force Base is where I actually got my first opportunity to be a business analyst. So that's ironic that you, you say all those different things when it comes to that dynamics.
And let me add to that. I went to high school in Dayton, but I actually lived in Xenia.
What? Really?
And when I was 16
Uh-huh.
and my friends were turning 16, we used to get in our cars and we used to drive around the area smoking cigarettes. And
Whoa.
we used to drive past Central State and we'd go to Yellow Springs and drive around Antioch. We used to drive around that whole area
Really? I
smoking
love it.
cigarettes.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this. Before we dive into your 10 rules for success, right now at your retirement, all the experiences that you had in life, what is your definition of success as of right now?
Well, success means different things to different people. And like you say, means different things even to you at different points in your life. But
Mm-hmm.
as an overview, I would say no matter how old you are, no matter what you're doing, if you're just starting out or if you're retired, the main thing is to be happy.
Mm.
And happiness is sometimes a very elusive thing to find. But I think you need to develop some form of prayer or meditation in your life, a regular thing that you can do where you
Mm-hmm.
can quiet your mind. And in those gaps where you're not thinking about anything, you can relax and the idea for doing something might come to you and that will lead you to feel happiness. And I think fun leads to happiness, but even more so than fun, it's satisfaction
Absolutely.
in what you've done. So I think a feeling of satisfaction leads to happiness, and
The
that's what
essence.
life is all about, in my opinion, is being happy.
Absolutely. And you
And I
touched
got
on
that
several
from
things.
Buddhism.
Really?
I studied Buddhism for a while. I mean,
Ah,
really studied it. I went
yes.
to Sangha meetings every
Hmm.
Sunday for 3 years. So
Ah.
I got into the Tibetan language and everything. I really got
Mhm.
into it. And from all of that, it's like happiness is your main goal in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I interviewed a student from WGU, and Eric actually echoed those same comments there, Ms. Johnquest. He definitely echoed those comments. Two things there that stood out: being happy and in the prayer and meditation. And the reason why it stood out to me is because it ties back to your original story when you said your biggest portion was to, your dad wanted to see that you graduated from college. How did his values, his norms, and his belief impact your decision onto teaching? Because I remember you said you prayed and you said, you know what, God, let me know if I'm doing your work. How did all that play in, or do you think that was a part of your fundamental values, norms, and belief passed on from your dad?
Well, my dad, he was a happy Irishman, and he
Ah,
worked at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and
hmm.
he golfed, and he had been in World War II,
Really?
and yes, he actually he got a couple Bronze Stars. He did a lot in World War II, but he never told me about the bad things. He had this one story he would always tell me, but from all of that, he loved America.
Hmm.
And he was very open to all kinds of people. Like when I was in the third grade, and I hate to admit this on this, but we traveled around a lot. We moved from Youngstown to Dayton to Xenia and going to all the different schools. I got behind, and I was in the 3rd grade. And my 3rd grade teacher called my parents and said she'd like to have a conference because she thought that I needed to repeat 3rd grade.
Mm.
Well, my parents thought I was gifted. They thought I was really smart,
Mm-hmm.
and my mother was very upset.
Mm.
And my father had to work, so he didn't go to the conference, but my mother went.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother, and I want to tell you this because it really made an impact on my life.
Mm-hmm.
We walked into that conference, and I was there with her. And she didn't realize it, and I never even thought to tell her, but my teacher was Black.
Really?
Yes, Mrs. Frazier. And back then, there were not very many Black teachers.
Yeah, that's why I said really.
Yes, and Miss Frazier was a kind, loving, wonderful person, and I did not see color at all. I was in the 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew was this lady was good to me. She was nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was having trouble,
Mm-hmm.
she would pull me off to the side and she would help me, and she wouldn't make a big deal about it in front of the whole class.
Mm-hmm.
So I had great trust in her. But my mother, I don't know if she even knew any Black people.
Mm-hmm.
She listened to what she said, but when she got home, she told my dad that this teacher wanted to hold me back,
Mm-hmm.
and that this was a Black teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And my father said, well, Rita, this is her teacher. If she's saying Betsy needs to be held back, then we're going to hold her back. If that's what the teacher says, that's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother pouted about it
Mm.
because I don't think she wanted to do what a Black person was telling her to do.
Mm.
So I saw that difference in my 2 parents.
Ah.
My father was, he was in World War II with Black guys.
Mm-hmm.
He worked at Wright-Patterson Air Force with Black guys.
Mm-hmm.
He was more worldly than my mother. And my mother eventually came along. But
Okay.
that was like the first time in my life where race ever impacted
Yeah.
me.
Got
And
it.
me being held back in the 3rd grade was the best thing that ever happened to me.
The best thing?
Yes.
Whoa.
I started getting good grades after that.
Okay. Okay. Did it impact you of when you became a teacher? Was it more so of you like I want to stay in the English language arts type field?
Yes. Now, let me say that when I graduated from high school, I had no intention of being a teacher. I was
Mm-hmm.
sick of school. I would say, nah, I'm not going to be a teacher. But then I went to Bowling Green and I signed up for business classes.
Mm.
And I looked at the curriculum for business, and there were a lot of classes I knew I wasn't going to do well in.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a science kind of person. I was not a math kind of person. And I took my first biology class, and I knew I was in over my head.
Really?
So I looked at English. I looked at the bulletin that they give you, and it has all the classes that you take for certain majors.
Mm-hmm.
I saw English, and I thought, wow, I would love to take this class, and I would love to take that class. And I thought, okay, so I went right to the administration building, and I changed my major from business to education because I liked it, because I liked those classes. And when I went through college then, I just really enjoyed my classes and everything that I did in college. So English then led me into teaching. And I was afraid at first with teaching. Just you're in front of all those kids, and it's really hard to have the confidence to know what you're doing, but it comes to you. It just comes to you when you put yourself in a situation that you don't think you're ready for.
Mm-hmm.
You put yourself out there and you make yourself do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that a lot of times you're successful from that. So for being a teacher, though, I just, because I was held back in 3rd grade, when I had kids in my class who were C students, C, D students,
Mm-hmm.
I really tried to work with them. And you know what? I got somebody at my door. Can you put me on pause?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So CD students, I know you said that you support them. You tried your best to support them.
I really could relate to them. I knew what it was like to struggle,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew everybody wanted to be successful. And I really tried to help kids out as much as I could and explain things to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I also felt that when you have fun at school, you
Yeah,
learn in spite of yourself. And I
absolutely.
always tried to um, make learning fun. And kids who had chips on their shoulders, I tried to make them see they didn't need to have that chip on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I've had so many kids come up to me who remember little stupid little things that change their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like do you remember a kid named Zach? I think he was a white kid, a kid named Zach.
I remember.
And in the journalism class, he begged to be in it. And I
Mm-hmm.
had these little cameras that held a floppy disk. Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember those early
Yes,
cameras that
early.
had
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I gave him that camera and I said, well, okay, Zach, go on out and get some pictures. Practice taking pictures with the camera. Take whatever you want to take. Just practice. And he goes, okay. And he was thrilled. He got to go out in the hall. He got to walk around. He got
Mm-hmm.
to take pictures. And things worked out good with him. But then one year, I'm talking years and years and years later,
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a graduation at Stambaugh Auditorium, and I'm taking pictures of the people in the crowd after the graduation. And I hear this voice, Miss Johnquest, Miss Johnquest. And I looked around, and this guy comes up to me and goes, I'm Zach. I'm Zach. And I'm going, Zach, who is Zach? And he told me about the thing with the camera, and then I remembered who he
Ah,
was. But guess what he does today? He is a photographer in a studio in London, England.
what? Really?
Yes, and
Oh,
he said
wow.
that all happened from the day I gave him that little old-fashioned camera and he
Yeah.
took pictures. So you never know with children, with kids,
Mm-hmm.
any word, any positive word that you could say, any little thing you let them do, uh, you just never know where
Absolutely.
it's going to lead to.
Absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. And I'm gonna push back just a little bit, Ms. John, because the only reason I'm gonna push back is because you said tried. That example that you actually provided of Zach, it shows the amount of time and energy that you put into your craft when it comes to teaching different things of that nature. One thing I never got a chance to be a part of, um, but you let me sit in on it because those were the older students.
Uh-huh.
I cannot think of the name, but it was a specific name where you guys would compete in a city where people would play different characters.
Yeah, the speech team.
Yes. In the speech team when they were improv and act like they six different characters. Oh my God, that was so, man. Oh my God.
I get shivers thinking about it.
Yes,
They
I
were
don't.
so good.
Yes, they were so good, so good, so good. But like I said, I'm gonna push back on that word because you said tried. Not only did you, go above and beyond. I know it's so many examples where I'm pretty sure people will comment on this video of small seeds that you planted, and not only did you plant the seed, it fell on fertile ground there. And Zach is a prime example of that. You just giving someone an opportunity. So I certainly appreciate it. Um, that is a great segue into your top 10 rules for success. You necessarily don't have to
Okay.
have 10, Ms. Johnquest, but
I don't
knowing
have to have 10.
you don't have to have 10, but I definitely don't want you to go past 10 though, because I know you probably have about 20 to 30.
I know it's hard to settle on 10.
I already know.
But the first one, um, we talked about happiness, and I have to put that as a number one goal. But happiness shouldn't be based on your possessions.
Mm,
It shouldn't be uh, positions of power or prestige. It's happiness is the relationships that you cultivate with other people.
yeah.
So when you're working and you're going to college, you've got your family at home. It's
Mhm.
hard to spend time with your family and still, study and work and
Yeah,
do all those things. But it's really important to put your family right up there with what you're doing, because
absolutely.
your family, I believe, here's what I believe. I believe we travel through time together.
Hmm.
I kind of believe in reincarnation, to tell you the truth. And I believe when we find ourselves in a situation, it's
Hmm.
because we wanted to be there so
Yeah.
that we could grow. And the people that are in our lives, our parents, our children, our friends,
Hmm.
we have got to give them our all, because
Absolutely.
that's why we're here. We're here to help them.
Absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. I like the example of, happiness as it relates to your relationships and the value that you get from those relationships. Like you said, college. When we went away for college, and when I say we, meaning myself, Lamont Harvey, Theodore Block, Jerome Betts, Myron McNair, and it was two other people. It was two other people. And when I tell you the value in the relationships that we had in high school, when it carried over to college and we got to that unknown area, because mind you, we were from Northeast Ohio, so going down into Southwest Ohio, it was one of those things where, okay, we're in a whole different area. It
Big
was a whole
change.
big change, right? Big change. So that happiness piece, we really relied on each other when it comes to supporting each other and cultivating our relationships. And not only that, the conversations that we would have back with individuals back at home, because this was like early when cell phones were just being like the norm, when cell phones were just being available to everyday people, like, at a reasonable price. So going off to college and having, very limited to access. I mean, at least we didn't, because we didn't have the money to actually have a month-to-month plan and different things of that nature. But like you said, that happiness that we definitely relied on the relationships amongst each other. So great call out.
Yeah, and you guys all went to Central State together?
Yes, we all went to Central State together. However, only myself, and Theodore and Myron. Myron graduated from there. Everybody else kind of transferred. Jerome transferred back to YSU. Um, Lamont went to Clarendon in PA. Who else? It's so many others. I remember Dana Franley. He graduated from Central. Kiana Boffman went to Wilson. But it was so many other individuals who we relied on that big piece, like you said, that relationship building and our happiness amongst each other. So great call out. Great call out. Number two.
Okay, number two, let's see. Um, this one, marry the right person,
Oh, wow.
because that can make a lot of difference. Now, when I was young, um, I used to fall in love with guitar players.
Really?
And guitar players, that was like really
That was the
bad
thing.
mistake. But I did marry Matt Johnquest,
Okay.
and I loved him,
Mhm,
and he loved me, and we
mhm.
had two kids. But I just don't know what really was the source of our problems, but I know it was economic.
Mhm,
We had problems and we wound up getting divorced.
mhm.
And I look back on it and I'm thinking to myself now, being retired, I never married anybody else. And he did get married to somebody else, but he got divorced. He married a woman who looked just exactly like me.
Oh, wow.
And she was a high school English teacher too.
Wow.
And his
Wow.
family kept calling her Betsy.
Oh, no.
But we have stayed connected all these years, but marrying the right person who is going to support you and what you want to do as well as you support them,
Mhm,
the right person can really help you move along in life.
mhm.
And the right person can, well, bring you happiness. The
Mhm.
wrong person can totally make life miserable for you.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you really have to be careful who you marry,
Oh, yeah.
and you can't just marry someone quickly. You've got to
Yeah.
give a person time to really get to know them. But that's a
Absolutely.
mistake I think that people make early on in life.
Yeah.
It sends their life into a total different tangent
Yeah.
if they hadn't married that person.
It happened to me. I agree. That's why I'm nodding my head. I totally agree. I totally agree. Uh, the follow-up question I want to ask you this, as it relates to to the two children there, how are you guys able to instill what you think is important when it comes to your values, your norms and beliefs into the two children there? Or is it something now that they're up in age, they pick and choose which ones that they think is valuable to them and match their personality?
Well, I know my older son, he's 40. He just turned 40.
Yeah.
And he was married back in his 20s. He married a girl from Brazil.
Mm,
And she was here as an au pair. She worked in Cleveland.
hmm.
And he met her and they got married, and she was an only child, and her mother was alone back in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Hmm.
And she wanted my son Ryan to move to Brazil with her.
Oh, wow.
And she went back to visit a couple times,
Hmm.
and then it became apparent that Ryan tried to learn Portuguese. I mean,
Hmm.
he was really going to do it for a
Hmm.
while, but then after a while he just didn't feel he could actually move there. He would visit, but he couldn't move to Brazil.
Yeah.
So that kind of broke him up, and he felt really bad about that because Ryan wants to have a family.
Hmm.
Ryan wants to be like his grandfather,
Hmm.
who had 4 children, has a nice house out in Chagrin Falls, which is a very affluent area.
Hmm.
And that was always Ryan's dream, was to take after his grandfather.
Hmm.
Um, so um, he's not married now, and he has a girlfriend that I think he's pretty serious
Serious
about.
about?
So I'm hoping that now he's gonna find some happiness with a family. And my son Connor also has a girlfriend. He's down in Florida,
Hmm.
and I don't know if when either one of them are going to get married, but I think they felt kind of bad that their parents were divorced. I
Hmm.
think they kind of resented that over
Hmm.
the years.
Okay.
And I think they held it against me
Hmm.
because they thought it was all my fault because I'm
Hmm.
the one who left.
Hmm.
As they
Hmm.
got older and got to know their dad as an adult, I think they could see better,
Absolutely.
the reasons why
Absolutely.
I left.
Yeah, it totally makes
But
sense.
we try to still stay in touch for the boys, and we still
Yeah.
try to keep our family thing together.
I love it. I love it. I love how you tied it back to your values, your norms, and your beliefs, and how Ryan he's real big on his happiness and his peace. You know what? I can't compromise that right now. We tried. Let me go back to the States. And then even an example with Connor, like, yes, he's real serious. However, he's taking his time, pacing himself accordingly. That way he won't have the same type of um, experience very similar to his mother. So great call out. Great call out. Marry the right
Yeah.
person. That's mission critical. I didn't dive into my story, but let's just say I had a very similar story, and the piece that I don't want to say I'm struggling with, but the piece that I am more in tune with is knowing and understanding my middle son's love language, and not only his understanding his love language, because I can't have this kind of expectation for him when he's in this type of environment, and it's not so. That's kind of like my personal expectation, but I have to understand him and where he wants to go in life, and I try to be there for that. And as he get older, of course, it will become more and more like, okay, that's a great fit. However, have you thought about this? Let's attach this, different things of that
Yes.
nature.
Now, how old is he right now?
Uh, Ashton is 8. He's only 8. So he's at that
Okay.
age where he's figuring things out, going into the 4th grade. Whereas Maurice the third, me 3, he's a bit older. And the fact that he understands, mind you, I, I totally agree with marry this right person. Let me bring it full circle. So I was engaged, it didn't work, and we was together for some time. It didn't work. I married, we was together for some time. We dated for like what, 2.5 years, 3 years, engaged for 1, married for 3. And then not only that, once, mind you, 2 different relationships. I got a baby in a relationship with each of them. And what I figured out now, being into my marriage now, is that the person I'm with now has, man, Ms. Johnquest, let me tell you this. When I tell you, when it comes to, like you said, economics, financial literacy, different things of that nature, my goals align exactly with her goals. We constantly revisit those every 3 to 6 months. And not only that, it's more so of, okay, let me put this on the back burner for now while we focus on this piece in your goals and different things of that nature. So as you say, marrying the right person, it's important. It's important for that individual because it's either gonna make or break you, to be honest. And it's not
Yeah.
me saying nothing bad on them. It's just that we wasn't a good fit, and then the fact that we didn't know that early on, like you said, you should have took your time and understood that person. Yeah. So
And 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 I do want to put in there, some people never do get married,
mm,
but they live together their whole lives.
I don't know.
And
I
I
don't know
guess,
about that, Johnquest. I
well,
don't like it because if we saying different things around God first, different things of that nature, and playing house, and it all depends on someone else's their norms and what their values are. You know, we were taught a
I think
certain way.
people should get married. I
Yeah,
think people should make that commitment
yeah,
to each other and to God.
yeah.
But I do know friends that have still a good commitment that they never did get married. But I
Mm,
think a lot of people, when they're young, don't want to get married. They
mm,
have a real mind block against getting married.
yeah,
And I think getting married does bring out a whole new side of you.
it
And it
does.
challenges you. It
Yep,
challenges you to listen to somebody else. It
yep.
challenges you to rethink what you're saying.
Hmm.
I think it's real important to get married.
Absolutely. And it's the last question before we go to number three. Um, like that portion that you just said, it really hit it, like struck a nerve there. Your emotional IQ. Why is that important? Why is that important in your marriage?
Your emotional IQ,
Hmm. Your
like
emotional
how well you
intelligence,
understand emotions.
how well you understand people, how well you understand yourself, and going back to your happiness, your relationship, what values and what type of value you bring to a relationship. Why is that important?
It's important so that you can figure out the best ways to get along with each other.
Mm,
Like my son Connor he said something about Tara was going off on this or that, and
hmm.
he just sat there and let her just go on and off, and he didn't argue with her.
Yeah,
And
let her
it
vent.
blew over, and everything was fine. And I said, well, that Connor, people who've been married for 50 years, that's what they do. The man lets the woman vent
Hmm.
and get everything out and blows over and you can
Hmm.
move on from there. And Connor says, well, nobody ever told me that before. I said, well, I'm telling you that right now. Let the
Vent.
woman is always going to feel right,
Yeah, always. You can't
always
win
going to
that one.
feel right. So if you start arguing about that, you're going to have problems.
Absolutely,
So the
absolutely.
emotional IQ, you have to understand the other person and what hurts them.
Hmm.
And you want to praise them. You want to bring out the
Yeah.
best in them, and you want to
Hmm.
figure out little things that you can do when they get home. They're going to go, oh wow,
Yeah,
you want to like brighten their day. So
absolutely. Great
you want to
call out.
keep them happy.
Great call out. Great call out. I love that example. Number three.
My third one,
Hmm.
um, um, you need to have not just a job. You need to have something that you work at where it's something you enjoy and it's worthy of your talents and your experiences, and it makes you feel like you are contributing something to society.
Mm,
I mean, going to work at McDonald's is a job and it gets you by, but I think people need to think about what can I do? How can I contribute? And I look back on many of the young women I've known who are now nurses.
mm,
And for me, nursing in this point in time is an occupation that is so honorable.
hmm.
I mean, I really admire nurses, and the people who work in those jobs are so dedicated.
Hmm.
They really have the knowledge needed to help people, and they really want to help people. So
Hmm.
I think everybody should try to get themselves educated in something
Hmm.
that is going to fit their talents and make it so they don't mind getting up every morning to go to work, so that they're
Absolutely.
happy to do that.
Absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. Picking a career or a job that actually is worth waking up for, like what you're passionate about when it comes to something where you're contributing to mankind, you're bringing value to individuals at a high level. And I love the example of being a nurse, because I think a nurse in general, or those type of people, I think at an early age they identify they need to work in a career where it's sociable. And when I say sociable, no matter if it's a teacher, no matter if it's a nurse, somewhere where they're actually on the front lines and having that one-on-one or dialogue with people in general. So I admire those types of individuals. Whereas myself, I was more of the no, I'm okay. Let me program. Uh, let me sit. Let me sit in this small cubicle. Don't nobody talk. Don't talk to me. Different things of that nature. If I need help, of course I'll ask for it. But I wasn't the sociable type person. But great call out, picking a career that you're passionate about.
But then you wound up teaching.
I ended up
So
teaching. Yes.
that's really giving to society. So all your time of sitting in those little cubicles
Yeah.
did pay off.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the whole teaching thing just came up because one of my guys, he like, look, I moved to Wisconsin. That's one thing I didn't mention. I moved to
Wow, you've been
Wisconsin.
around.
Oh, absolutely. I stayed in California, Maryland, just the whole country. So being in Wisconsin, my skill set, like you said, your career, my skill set didn't transfer to that economy. Milwaukee, and where I was at, I was in the suburbs of Milwaukee, in a small city called Menominee Falls. So I'm in Menominee Falls looking for a project management or a business analyst role, and there was nothing available. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. So Myron at that time, Myron was doing several positions. He's in a managerial type role. And Myron, like, okay, I got a gig for you. You just have to do this for a whole year. Then after your year elapsed, then you can move into an IT manager at that time, or you can work on the project management team. I said, okay, okay. So long story short, he got me a job at UPS, not UPS, but US, the brown one. I can't think of it, what it was called.
Oh, UPS.
Yeah, UPS. So I get in there and we're doing packages. And when I tell you by the second day, I was like, oh, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this. But my skill set did not match that actual area. And then my another good friend of mine, my fraternity brother, he reached out to me and said, I think you'll be a great fit. The 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 University of Chicago Charter School was like, hey, we starting this new position. We want to start a computer science curriculum. We think you'll be a good fit. I'm like, I'm not a teacher by default. No, you are a teacher. I watch how you talk to your kids. I watch how they move. I watch how different things of that nature. I think you'll be a great fit, great example. And I said, okay, I'll do it for 1 year. I'll do it for 1 year. I ended up staying there for 4.5 years before I actually started at Western Governors University, where I support adult learners in computer science. So I'm still doing it,
Oh,
just at a different level. So, like you said, it's important that now I just be a little bit more sociable. That's why you even have this platform where I am doing these type of talks. That way, individuals can connect with people that look like them in their field. Whatever it may be, they may discreetly reach out to you, Ms. Johnquest, and say, "Hey, I need to talk to her," or whatever it may be. They might even write something in the comments. So,
yeah, that'd
we
be
gotta,
great.
we definitely gotta be prepared for that. So, one, happiness. Two, marry the right person. Number three, having a career that aligns with your skills and who you are, and making sure that you're bringing value, to individuals, and for the long story short, for humankind overall, making sure that you're doing something like
Right.
that. Okay, okay. Number four.
Number four, try to be the most positive
Mm,
and enthusiastic person you can be.
positive energy. I love it.
Because if you slip into negativity, negativity is destructive, and it'll hurt your relationships. It'll hurt anything you're trying to do. But if something bad happens and you look at the silver lining, okay, this happened, my house burnt down.
Yep.
Okay, what's the silver lining?
Hmm.
I just got an insurance settlement that I can go about and build a new house or something. There's
Ah,
always is a silver lining somewhere. And
absolutely.
rather than dwell on everything that's bad and dwell on all the obstacles and dwell on all the negative things, if you
Hmm.
look for whatever you can find that's positive,
Mm.
that will help you get through hard times.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that example when it comes to just being positive and just putting out that positive energy and vibrations to individuals. That ties back to me, going back to when you said your definition of success and making sure that you are meditating different things of that nature when it comes to the mindset. I guess I want to ask you this, Ms. Johnquest, at what point did you receive, or you may have not, at any level when you were teaching in the Youngstown City Schools, did you receive any pushback on what you should teach and how you're teaching anything of that nature? And the only reason why I ask is because um, having that positive energy and different things of that nature, to me, I think as you deliver results, at least for me, I felt like your energy was always high. And like I gave that example at the beginning, the only time I ever seen you sad is when 9/11 happened. And I'll never forget, you changed the channel and we were watching live and different things of that nature. So that's the only time I ever seen you vulnerable. But outside of that, have you ever received like any pushback from administrators or different things of that nature on your style?
Well, a lot of the teachers, even from early on when I first started at Rayan, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't like my style
Mm-hmm.
at all. They
Really?
thought I smiled too much.
Mm-hmm.
They thought I was too friendly.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that I should, just be super, super strict and
Yeah.
not allow anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that maybe I was a little bit too on
No.
the easy side,
No.
but what I really loved was when I would watch a student come in from the hall. They would walk into the hall,
Mm-hmm.
into my room, and you could see the stress melt right
Yep.
off of them.
Yep.
And they would go and they would sit down and they didn't feel like, okay, what do I have to do now? They know that they could say hello to the person behind them.
Yep.
They know they could walk over here and say hello to that person. I like that atmosphere for me. I did get criticized for it.
Yeah.
Now, as time went on, the state got more involved in teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end, right before I retired, and I had some health problems when I retired.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bladder problem. It was so bad I couldn't stay in the classroom for 45 minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
that bothered me really bad. But that was around the same time that they started the core curriculum.
Oh, okay.
And they would take me out of the classroom, send me down to the board, would spend all day down there designing the curriculum for like ninth grade. That's what I worked on.
Okay.
And it came to the point where every ninth grade teacher in the whole district had to be working on the same thing every day.
Whoa.
And and see, for me, if a kid didn't get it, if I
Mm-hmm.
was teaching something and I could tell they're not getting this,
Yep.
then I'm going to spend another day on it.
Yes.
But with the core curriculum, you couldn't do another day because the
Uh,
next day you had to do something else.
mm-hmm.
So it was really hard to try to get something across to all the different learners. Everybody's learning in a different way, and
Oh my.
you're trying to present this in different ways, all in a 45-minute time span.
Oh wow.
And so I found that to be really very difficult. And I look back on the days when I had you guys, I had my curriculum that I followed.
Mm-hmm.
But if I needed to spend 4 days on something important, I would spend 4 days on it and not feel bad about it. And
Absolutely.
and and I knew also that if we had an important assignment, and if that kid did not bring it in and turn it in on time, that something was going on at home.
Yeah. Great call out.
And then what I would do, I would say, well, you don't have it. It's due today. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I'm going to take off points or something. But what I really wanted was, you're not off the hook.
Yeah.
You still have to do it. I'm
Absolutely.
still waiting for it.
I
You still
remember
got to do the
those.
work.
I
You
promise
remember
you.
that?
I remember those. And when you said, so two things. Your class management style is the same thing I adopted when I went into the classroom because it matched my personality. So it was frowned upon by other teachers. You should try this. You should try to do this. And my first year, I tried to implement a piece of every teacher, and it wasn't me. But by that second year, sitting down with my director, oh my, she was a blessing. Asada Moore, sitting down with her and understanding the different learning styles, different people, and how to get this information to them so they can learn it. It was refreshing to hear. But I never forget this one lesson. We was sitting there, and it was so simple, but she was like, "You guys listen to the word the." not only are you guys not saying T, y'all saying D. Is like, duh, go there, duh. Like, you was real big on that. So when anybody would say something, you would redirect us and say, Maurice, what did you say? I'd be like, oh, you're right. The, and enunciate, because you was real big on that. I will never forget that. And it was different, like you said, it was different learning styles, no matter if you was doing peer teaching, like if you purposely group me with someone else, I knew you wasn't doing like, of course, this person may be doing the majority of the work. However, the key takeaway from that person is, okay, he can work with that person. His personality match him. He's going to be more receptive to that kid, different things of that nature with their teaching. So
Right.
I later understood, Ms. Johnquest. At first, when I was there, I was like, now he's not going to do no work, Ms. Johnquest. You got me working with this guy. But like you said, having that positive energy and being able to understand my personality and understand how to have relationships with people, like you said, going back to your happiness in the classroom. When people knew, when they came to your classroom, we knew already, like, okay, no, we're not going to kick it. You have some people who took advantage of you, like you said, those knuckleheads. But then you had the people who understood, like, okay, in Ms. Johnquest, I could let my hair down. I could ask Ms. Johnquest to, hey, at that time I had hair, waves. But at that time, I sat down and said, hey, Ms. Johnquest, can I do this? Or, hey, Maurice, you done with that assignment? Go ahead, you can work on your Spanish homework. It'll be okay. Or you can do
Yeah.
that. That way, you gave us a look, we could talk about this forever. We could definitely talk about this, but you did such an amazing
I
job.
know. Having freedom in the classroom is just
Yeah,
really, really good.
absolutely. Absolutely. Positive energy. I love it. Number 5.
Okay, I'm going to try to maybe combine two things. I
Mhm.
think that people should be forgiving of themselves. If you make a mistake and you just are just so mad at yourself for making that mistake, don't beat yourself up over it. It's done, it's over, go on. So in the same way, as you're forgiving of yourself, be generous to other people.
Mm.
Like be generous in your time. Um, and I don't know if those two go together or not.
No,
I
it
was thinking
goes.
maybe they might. Um, but being forgiving of yourself and being generous to others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it go together. And like you said, for you, you may walk into the classroom that day and you may give a lesson and it go over 90% of the classroom, and you understood, okay, now they're not understanding, so let me forgive myself for even approaching a lesson like that. And then you like, you know what, I have to be generous of other individuals who there. I can't just go to the next lesson. Let me revisit it. Let me understand exactly what I'm doing. And like you said, you will spend 3 or 4 days on the actual objective for the week. But great point, forgiving of yourself and being generous. Great.
Can I share one story with you when the core curriculum first came out?
Yes, tell me more.
Um, we had this assignment where, the Hindenburg blimp,
Mm,
uh, it came over from Germany and it crashed somewhere on the Atlantic coast in America.
mhm,
Well, the assignment that we had to give the kids was a written dialogue of the news reporter who was reporting about this blimp crashing.
mhm,
And his voice was like, really, excited because this was a crash that was happening right now. But when you read it on a piece of paper, it was bland.
ah, mhm,
So the kids were reading it on the paper and people were falling asleep and people just really didn't care about it.
mhm,
But then they said, go to this YouTube channel.
mhm,
And I had the screen up there and I did the YouTube thing and they listened to the man giving the same report that they
mhm,
just read, but they were listening to his voice and they're seeing what he's seeing. Oh
mm,
my goodness, what a big difference it made.
absolutely.
Now, they were turned on to this thing.
Mhm.
They didn't want to stop. I said, okay, we're going to move on. They went, well, no, there's other videos on there. There's another one about the Hindenburg. There's one about how the Hindenburg was made in Hitler's Germany. We want to
Mhm,
know about that. So we wound up going through several of
mhm.
those YouTube videos where they really described how the Hindenburg blimp was made,
Whoa.
what role Hitler had to play with it,
Mhm,
who was on it, how the layout of the whole thing was.
mhm.
They are now experts.
Mm.
on this Hindenburg blimp even
I
today,
love it.
I'm sure. But I really got off my schedule on that.
Hmm. No, that's a great example. Great example. And one when you was actually giving that example, I thought about students first when they come into my classroom. They're like, you know what, I'm going to be programming different things of that nature. And what was so cool about computer science is that you don't know if you suck at it yet. You know I'm bad at math, so you already have this stigma before you go into the classroom. Or if it's English or whatever it may be, I suck in science or whatever it may be. But when you come into computer science, it's a fresh slate. So
Yeah,
when they sat down and they seen how I presented it, and like I said, having that positive energy and different things of that nature, oh, they loved it. They loved it. And not only that, when you do those videos, oh man, it gives them the visual piece, it gives them the audio piece, and not only that, now they have a idea what it looks like and
yeah,
understand the perspective it was coming from. So great example.
yeah,
Great example, Ms.
yeah,
Johnquest. Great example.
yeah.
Number 6.
Okay, number 6. Um, I have my list that I'm kind of looking at over here.
Hmm.
Um, let's
So
see.
we left off on forgive yourself and be generous. Before that
And
one, we
I'm
have positive energy.
and
Before
I'm
that
on
one,
number 6.
we're on number 6.
I got 4 more to go. How about persistence?
Ooh.
And this, I think, really goes to people who are, well, learning, in education, but more so, I think, in business.
Ooh,
If
okay.
if a person is trying to start a small business
Mm,
and the orders are not coming in, and you're starting to look at your bank account and you're starting to get
yeah.
really, really worried about something,
Hmm.
in order to make this a success, you can't just give up on it right away.
Hmm.
You have to think of something to go on to that's going to help you sell something that you're doing, or
Hmm.
maybe a different way of marketing it, or you always have to keep looking for what you need to do to be successful in your business. And I would say this probably goes more for business than for education, but even in education, you persistence in no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
if
Great
if
call out.
it's something that's valuable to you, that you really would
Yeah.
like to be able to accomplish this,
Hmm.
then you cannot give up. You have got to keep on trying. No quitting.
John Quest, I interviewed several individuals, and persistence is totally new, but it's in the form. Some of them have some overlap. This persistence here, it touch on everything that you do in life. If you're looking for a certain lifestyle, you have to be persistent in what you're doing every day. When it comes to let's just say I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire. Tomorrow I can't be a billionaire, but if I stay persistent in establishing, staying connected to my goals, and staying connected to my dreams, and just having that
Mm-hmm.
consistency over time, you will get there. Not only will you get there, you'll actually develop a roadmap yourself. And like you said, you being innovative back in, at least in our time, when it comes to your classroom norms and different things of that nature, it planted the seed in me. So when I was able to get into the classroom, in which I didn't have a passion to teach at the time, but when I saw that it impacted individuals in a certain way, I became persistent on understanding, okay, I need to, let me not do that, because I had some bad habits. And my bad habits, the south side of Chicago, those kids, they were different, man. They were totally different, to the point where they were grown at 13 and 14.
Wow.
And you could just tell, just on their commute to school, it was so dangerous, right then and there. So when you get to their classroom, and when they come, they actually have a mindset of, okay, I'm in this classroom now. What can I get out of it? How it's going to help me in my real life? So I was always being persistent or consistent in the things that I taught, and also try to tie it back into their everyday lifestyle, and the norms that they actually did. And that, like you
Yeah.
said, that goes back to anything, no matter if they're using their cell phone for whatever it may be. Turn on your cell phone, open up an app, look for a different route home. That way you know exactly how this is going to work. And not only
Yeah.
that, be persistent and consistent in the route that you're actually taking. You can switch it up every now and then, but when you leave out of school, if it's more than 5 of you guys, no one's going to not say anything to you. No one's going to touch you. But if you're going by yourself and it's not a safe passage, in Chicago they have routes called safe passage. But like I said, going back to being persistent It's that's every day in your life, being consistent and staying connected to your dreams and goals. That's the essence of this channel here. So
Yes.
let me ask you this: how are you able to, or what do you say to individuals to keep them motivated when they hit that wall, Ms. Johnquest, or when they hit adversity?
Well, you have to find something within everybody to praise.
Mm,
People really react well to praise. And if somebody is feeling down, like I'm never going to get this, or I'm never going to do this, um, if you praise them on the things that they do well, and I'll say, well, you're really good at math, and I will say, I'm not very good at math, but so I admire people who are good at math, but
absolutely.
it just takes practice. And I said, you just have to keep practicing.
Hmm.
Like when I was in grade school, we had like 40 kids in a room, and we used to have our grammar drill book out,
Hmm.
and everybody would take a sentence
Hmm.
that was like numbered. There were drills, and you could count ahead and you could find out which one was going to be yours.
Hmm.
And while everybody else was working on theirs out loud, you were looking at the one that you were going to have, so you'd be
Absolutely.
prepared for it. And I'd have to pick out the nouns and the verbs, and I hated it. I just
Hmm.
hated it. But I kept at it because I had to keep at it.
Hmm.
I just had to do it. And now it becomes very simple to me, and it
Yep.
enabled me to become an English teacher. But persistence is just
Awesome.
something every person has to develop within themselves. And
Yeah.
I think praise for what they can do right gives them something to hold on to so they can keep on going.
Absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. Being persistent. Man, that's a big one. That's a big one there, Ms. Johnquest.
Yeah.
Like you said, those norms and praising them, and it actually creates a transformational mindset where they say I could do anything and everything. So great call out. They react to praise well. Number 7.
Oh man, number 7. Well, this one might be number 1 too.
Mm,
The golden rule: treat everyone the way you would like to be treated.
mm,
And even when I'm watching the news and things like that, I put myself in the shoes of people that I see on TV, like
yes.
the migrant workers who
Hmm.
are out there picking our food, and then our government is so cruel to those people.
Hmm.
And I just think about, what if I was a migrant worker?
Yeah.
How would I feel about all this? And
Hmm.
it really makes me want to get a government going in here that considers those people essential workers.
Hmm.
And if they want to do that job, then I say, come on over here, become American citizens,
Hmm.
enjoy the democracy that we have. Our democracy is not just for us.
Yeah.
Democracy is for everybody. And
Hmm.
if we can spread democracy through the world, then that's a good thing. So
Yeah, I know
I
you're very passionate about politics. I know you love it. I know you love it.
I'm
Speak.
going crazy right now, Maurice. I
I
am
know.
like going crazy.
I know. I know. I'll give you a quick example of that when it comes to treat everyone the way you want to be treated. My wife is Nigerian, half Nigerian. Her dad is full-time Nigerian, and specifically when the immigration laws had when it changed, it's not something that impacts me directly. So I was ignorant to it. I was like, oh, okay. But when I saw that my wife became it impact her peace and her happiness, going back to your success rules. And when I saw that, me having the emotional IQ, I don't want to say high IQ, but understanding my wife, I said, "Ooh, how can we put this at peace?" I had to go educate myself on how this would impact if he was to get deported. You know what I mean? So going back to treat everyone how you want to be treated, I was like, whoa, this is really important. So then not only that, I start to have a different respect for him, even like when we had conversations on why he came to the States and different things of that nature. So that's a great call out there, especially around that immigration there. But tell me
Yeah.
what you're doing in the community right now as it relates to politics. Briefly, Ms. Johnquest.
Okay, briefly. Well, back before the pandemic hit, like around St. Patrick's Day,
Yes.
I did a PowerPoint on for first-time voters
Oh.
on registering to vote, and then when you do go to vote, the different ways you could vote. You could vote early, you could vote by mail, all those things. I had this ready, and we were going to take it around to the high schools, and we were going to present it to the seniors, all the seniors, whether they were 17 or 18. They were just going to, let them know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pandemic hit,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been participating in Zoom meetings with people about politics, about the Democrats, what the Democrats need to do.
Yeah.
And now I talked my son into making signs,
Mm-hmm.
because the Democrats have a thing like, listen to this. There is a union printer, a big union shop in Toledo. And the Democratic Party has chosen that one print shop to print all the Biden signs.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody in the state of Ohio is waiting to get Biden signs.
Oh.
And they can't get enough of the cardboard. They're waiting on the cardboard before they can print the signs. So we have been waiting for signs. In the meantime, the Republicans, like the Democrats, say you have to get your signs from a union shop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the technology has passed by that so quickly now that printing has totally changed since it was way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't many union shops. There are a lot of independent sign makers out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republicans will give the business to the individual people in each community for signs.
Ah,
And people
okay.
will buy signs off the internet. People
Mm-hmm.
will get signs from your neighbor down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets enthusiastic about getting these signs and putting them out, where the Democrats, we're sitting on our hands waiting for the signs.
Mm-hmm.
So I convinced my son, make a Biden sign.
Okay.
And so he did. And I
Mm-hmm.
put it on we have a Progress MV, which is Progressive Mahoning Valley. And I
Yes.
put on there that my son is now making Biden signs, because nobody had any Biden signs.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the Dump Trump sign up there too,
Mm-hmm.
and created a lot of excitement on that thread.
Yeah.
I had 50 people commenting
Oh,
before.
wow.
Nobody was commenting. So
Wow.
now people are getting involved. And now the people who run the Democratic Party, they see they're getting a little competition.
Mm.
So they suddenly got going, and now today they were giving out Biden signs in Trumbull County.
Ah,
Where did
okay.
these Biden signs come from? I don't know. But once
Mm-hmm.
they saw they had little competition, they
Mm-hmm.
got going on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have a pattern or a trend of always being preemptive, and not only being preemptive in resources, and especially I like the first time voters initiative. I love that. I love that.
Right.
Something that you used to always teach us or bring to our attention when we were in high school was green initiatives. Like, you were real passionate about green initiatives back in 1998 through
Earth
2002.
Day.
Yes, you were really passionate about it. Are you still into those type of ventures as well?
Yes, I am. I'm very sick to my heart about all the cutbacks that Trump has made on FDA. I'm afraid to eat meat anymore because he has pulled all the inspectors. There's nobody looking at the meat.
Really?
Yeah, beef especially.
Whoa, I never knew
Um,
that.
the water, Mitch McConnell cut a deal with this Russian oligarch who's friends with Vladimir Putin.
Hmm.
He is bringing this factory to Kentucky. It's from the Russians. It's an
Hmm.
aluminum factory, which is going to pollute the Ohio River. And in
Ah,
order to make this factory work, they have taken away all the laws on polluting the Ohio River so they could have this factory on the Ohio River.
wow.
So there's a lot of things that are going on that are really bad for our environment right now. And I'm
Hmm.
really hoping we can get Trump out of there so that the Democrats can get back in and put some of these laws back in place. But the one thing that I've always been passionate about since the 90s
Hmm.
is hemp.
Hmm.
Hemp.
Hmm.
Grow hemp. If we grew hemp, it would close up the ozone holes in our sky. It could help clear up pollution on the land. Um, and I'm not just talking about CBD oil. I'm talking about industrial hemp.
Right.
Where you can make plastic. You can have plastic bags made out of hemp, so that when you are finished with them, if you want to throw them in the trash, go ahead and throw them in the trash, because they're going to just disintegrate.
Yes.
They're
And
going to,
it's no environmental impact at all.
right. So I was thinking of having a podcast about hemp.
Really?
Yes.
Why
And
not
I'm still
do it?
thinking, well, I
Oh.
got to get my information. I am working
Oh,
on
okay.
it. I
Okay,
am going
okay.
to do it.
Okay, y'all heard it here first. Miss Johnquest is thinking about doing a
Yeah.
podcast
Hemp.
centered around hemp.
Why not? Hemp.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good stuff. This is great stuff. I love how you tied everything back into the green incentives, just being preemptive and helping people understand how to vote, all great stuff that you have going on in the community. That's why I was reaching out to you, Ms. Johnquest, so people can know all the great things you are doing.
I
Number
know. Well, I'm not doing half as much as I'd like to do. I mean, I am slowing down. I have to admit it.
Nah, I doubt it. I doubt it. At least in your eyes, I think. You just started. You just started. Number 8.
Okay, number 8. I think number 8 is also one that should be number 1. Be honest.
Mm,
Be honest with yourself, and be honest about everything that you do or say.
hmm Why is it important to be authentic to yourself?
Well, you got to be honest with yourself, because sometimes you might um, kind of lull yourself into thinking that, oh, it doesn't matter if
Ah,
if I if I tell my son something, I don't want to get him all upset. Yeah, but being honest, I think the other person might not like to hear the truth, but I think
it's
the
needed.
truth is, we got to demand the truth, and maybe not just with ourselves, but the society that we live in. Right
Mm,
now, we just don't have any truth. Nobody believes the same facts,
got it.
and we've got to search out the truth.
Got it. Got
And
it.
we got to
Being
be
honest.
honest with ourselves about what we believe, and we've got to be honest with other people, and we've got to expect that
hmm
from other people too.
I agree. I totally agree. That portion when you said being honest in the information, because the first time someone receives some new information and it goes against their values, their norms, and their beliefs, they're like, this can't be true. This definitely
Right,
can't be true. So great call
right.
out. Great call out. Just good stuff. Good stuff there, Ms. Johnquest. Number 9.
Number 9. Um, um,
Be honest. Number 8. Number 7. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Number 6. Persistence.
how
5.
about number 9? Stop blaming others.
Oh, I love that one.
Take the responsibility for something. If you have messed up, just say, okay, and maybe you're right to blame it on somebody else, but don't always blame everything on everybody else. Like my sons sometimes will blame everything on their dad.
Mhm,
I says, well, maybe when you were a younger boy, maybe that might have been appropriate, but now you're a man.
mhm.
Now you know what's right and wrong. You can't blame it on anybody but yourself. Do the
Absolutely.
right thing, and don't, if you mess up, if you do the wrong thing, you can't blame anybody else.
Absolutely. That's a great call out. Stop blaming others. I like that portion. It ties back to me going back to number 6, being persistent, being consistent. Because if you are consistent and you are persistent, they're two different definitions, but they kind of go hand in hand. Uh, you're not in a position where you're blaming others for your success or your lifestyle that you actually created yourself. That is your norm. That is what you wake up to every day. What can you do different today when it comes back to you saying motivation? How can I bring value to this individual, especially if they're in my inner circle or they're my family member or whatever it be? How can I bring value to this person? Let me praise them this way. Let him know like you are on the same track. However, it's something that's inside you where you have to want it for yourself to actually get up and how can I change the dial just a little bit today where I'm in a better place, for the next day. So great call out. Stop blaming others for your lifestyle. I love it. Good stuff.
Yeah, blaming others. Um, take responsibility for
Ah,
every area of your life.
yeah, I love it.
Like sometimes people blame their teachers because maybe they didn't do well on a test, and they say, "Well, that stupid teacher, she
Yeah,
didn't teach me very well." Well,
yeah,
you need teachers to a certain extent, but you need to study too.
yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. I used to, because okay, so I'll just put it out there. This may sound horrible, and I hate to say it. So I didn't know that certain students learn different until I got into the classroom. So I learned about IEPs. I learned about um, behavior 504 plans, all these different things. Like, oh, he acting up because of this, and it's based on that trigger from that child doing it. So when it came to testing, Ms. Johnquest, I used to always do this thing. We used to have 2.5 hour blocks, so you purposely had to have your your exam take that length of time. So
Yeah,
what I would
I
purposely do is I would set it up for the first hour and a half where you had to just know the content. In the last 30 to 45 minutes, I'll base it on the class. If someone talked, I took off a minute for the open book. So the open book to them, it brought them value, but even when you got the open book, if you didn't do any reading, you didn't even know the section that it's not going to bring you any value. So I used to love that.
exactly, exactly. If you haven't studied, the book
Yeah,
doesn't help you much because you don't know where anything is.
absolutely. So I used to love it. I used to love it. That was one of my
And
trade-offs there.
I used to do that in my classroom. I had American literature,
Hmm.
and I'd make these really long tests.
Yeah.
And I would have, I'd say, you can use your book.
Hmm.
And so there were some kids, their book was sitting there, and they were just working on the test. And every once in a while, they'd open their book and they'd check something.
Yep.
Then there were other kids who were page after page. They were flipping through all the pages, and they weren't even getting anything done because they were too busy
Yep.
searching. And
Great
then you
call
could
out.
easily tell who studied, who didn't.
Yep. And you can't blame, and that goes back to, like you said, in your everyday life and your lifestyle. You can't blame what you're picking as your norm or whatever it may be. So great call out. Great call out.
Yeah.
Last one. Last one.
Last one. Let's see. Okay, last one. Be bold.
Be bold. Tell me
Have
more.
courage. And here's what else I wrote down. It says, when you look back on your life, you'll regret the things you didn't do more than the ones you did.
Mm,
You in your life, you'll do things, but you'll regret the ones you didn't do.
absolutely. That made me think about a quote, and I'm not sure what basketball player it was. It's either Michael Jordan or Kobe. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Great call out. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So be
Yeah.
bold, be courageous. I love it. I love it. And that's the essence of me doing this right now, to get that information out. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. I know I sound crazy sometimes. The way I articulate myself, I think I'm being authentic to myself. I don't try to say any big
Well,
words, anything of that nature.
you must be what, around 40 or so?
I'm 36 now.
You're 36?
Hmm.
Just talking to you and having you interested in all this, you are going to be a wise old man someday. And you have got your whole life ahead of you, and you have such a great foundation.
Thanks, Miss
I am
Johnquest.
so pleased, Maurice, to connect with you after all these years, because I do remember you as a kid, and now you're a man, and you're a quality man. You're really doing really great things.
Thank you. Thank you. I certainly appreciate you even saying I agree to this. I was like, I was scared to ask. My wife put me up to it. She's like, oh, just go ask. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, be
And
bold, be
be
courageous.
both. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great call out. I love how you tied that in. Um, One thing before we go, Ms. Johnquest, I want to circle back around, and I know you did a lot of studying on meditation. Someone brought up meditation before. And I want to say it was Eric, and it was another individual. Meditation, I'm not sure if everyone knows what it is. Some people scared of it, to be honest. Tell us more about meditation and why it's mission critical in your everyday life, and protecting your brain from people's fears or different things of that nature.
Well, meditation is a lot like prayer.
Hmm.
In prayer, you have certain words to a prayer that you say, and you concentrate on those words.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation, you can have a sentence like an affirmation that you repeat over and over again that is a goal that you have, and you can focus on it and concentrate on it. But other people don't have any affirmation. They listen to their breathing. And I've done both of them. And if you listen to your breathing, the whole thing what you're trying to do is not think about anything. And if you can have those little moments where you're not thinking about anything,
Mm-hmm.
those are the gaps. And you want to fit into the gap, because in the gap, your personality is not there. In the gap, you find God. In the gap, you'll find the spirit that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
You've got all of your ego off to the side. You've got all the your things that you have to do today off to the side.
Yep.
You are in this timeless zone where being in the gap is a really important thing to de-stress yourself and to find that you're close to God.
Absolutely. Great call outs. Great call
So
outs. I
that's
love
what
it.
I think of with meditation.
Yeah.
And I also, when I studied Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
Buddhism isn't really, I don't consider it to be a religion. I don't consider it to be any competitive thing with Christianity or anything like that.
Right.
Buddhism is more like a self-help kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I read about it is that, we have our alphabet. Our alphabet came from Sanskrit.
Really?
Originally back in India.
Mm-hmm.
And they had other sounds than we have, but our alphabet basically came from there. And our letters have a certain sound to them.
Mm-hmm.
And way back in BC times, these people would chant a certain letter, and they would have that letter like really vibrate in their bodies, and they would see colors in their bodies. They would see where these sounds are. And in Buddhism, they connect the sounds with your chakras, your different sources of energy within your body. And by chanting these Buddhist phrases, you're going back to those ancient sounds, and you're actually trying to heal your body by using those sounds. That's what I really got into with Buddhism. And
Yes.
it's not anything that's a belief system. It's just what it is.
No,
I'm
I
still a
follow.
Christian.
Yeah, I follow. I follow, and I definitely understand. It's a sense of mindfulness as you figure out. It gives you the answers to what you're searching for in life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
It
helps you
definitely
find
does.
your answers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great
Yes.
call out. And I wanted to revisit that. It was on my mind and my heart at the beginning, and it kind of slipped a little bit, but I'm like, let me revisit that meditation piece, because I don't think people understand the value that it actually brings to individuals' life, especially as all this noise is happening. It don't necessarily have to be noise as in music or a busy lifestyle. It could be noise from, no matter if it's fears coming from your loved ones, or fears coming from what you heard on the internet, or what you've seen in the news, or what you read on the social media
Right.
posts. Like, you have to be able to, like you said, be able to make informed decisions based on the information that you're receiving constantly. You give information every day. So great call out. Great call out. I love this. I love this. Ms. Johnquest, what are some avenues if someone wanted to reach out to you and they want to continue the conversation, or they say, hey, I want to be a part of your first voters initiative, or hey, I want to know more about the green initiative that you're involved in.
All right.
How
Well, right
can I
now
reach
I'm
out?
trying to register voters.
Okay.
We've got till October 5th in
Mhm.
Ohio to register voters. And that is our only weapon that we have against these Republicans. So anybody who can register some voters will be a great thing. And I'm on Facebook, Betsy Johnquest. I'm on Facebook. I have like over 1,000 friends, and a lot of my friends are former students. So that's really a kind of a cool thing. And then my email address is E for Elizabeth, ejohnquest@gmail.com. So they can email me, they can find me on Facebook, and if they want to ask me questions or want to get involved in things, they should feel free. I'm sitting
Absolutely.
here retired, and I love catching up with my former students, so I would be very happy to talk to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if anyone want to connect with Ms. Johnquest, those Facebook hyperlinks, I'll put a URL to those, so you can actually have that email address or different things of that nature. You can click look in the description here, and I actually have that information. Um, when you actually leave this video, it'll actually have another playlist where you can look at previous interviews, no matter if it's, I'm doing
Okay.
a series right now for individuals from Youngstown. I wanted to start with the hometown first and understand why we have this idea of success, growing up in our environment. And then success looks different, like you said, from individuals at different levels. As we move from Youngstown, some people stayed in the community. You actually stayed in the community all these years, are doing phenomenal things. So I appreciate your time, Ms. Johnquest. I'll be reaching out to you again shortly.
Yeah, let's stay in touch, Maurice.
Absolutely, absolutely. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I look
Yes, and
forward.
you too. Wear your mask.
Absolutely, absolutely, Ms. Johnquest. All right, now I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, love you too.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye for now.